Hey, what's up, blue collar business owner? Welcome back to the Blue Collar Prosperity Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Maskill, where we focus on helping guide you to having a business that produces consistent, positive cash flow. In doing so, you'll have a financially healthy business and be able to achieve your personal goals, which will allow you to sleep well at night. Today, we have with us Brandon Vaughn. Super excited about this. Brandon has founded and scaled more than a dozen multi-million-dollar businesses. One of his last ventures is Wise Coding, scaled from zero to over $1 million per month in less than 3 years, while he worked less than 10 hours per week in the business. As founder and chief strategist of Conquer, he has helped tens of thousands of service business owners get more time freedom while scaling and growing their companies. And currently, he's the CEO of HireBus. He's tackling the employee problems of small business owners with a unique approach of combining AI-powered recruiting with behavioral science. So if you have never heard of Brandon Vaughn, that is Brandon Vaughn. Welcome, Brandon. Thanks so much for being here. What is going on today?
What's up, Paul? Thanks for the kind intro, man. I appreciate it, and glad to be here. Happy to help some folks figure out some more prosperity. I like the theme of the podcast.
Awesome. Yes, that is the goal. So not only make money, but have a life worth living. There's plenty of people that are making a bunch of money, but they're still working in their business 24/7. So excited for your expertise to come on, because I don't think I've run into one owner in the trades, any blue collar owner. One of the first things you say, how's business? Great, but I can't find good help. So we're going to dive into all that today. That's what HireBus is doing, solving that problem for you guys. But just like most of my interviews, I want to dive into two things. Before we get it all into the juicy stuff about HireBus, we want to learn how Brandon's journey can inspire you out there as well. So Brandon, how did you get started as an entrepreneur? Especially, you've really focused in the home service space, since I've known you a really, really long time ago.
Well, I had the privilege of being able to see my dad in the home services. So I grew up in home services. I feel like blue collar entrepreneur kind of runs in my blood. Although for my dad, he had a bus factor of one, which is how many people in a company need to get hit by a bus before the company ceases to exist. And for my dad, that was just himself. He was an owner operator for 33 years, washing windows. And we did the math once, and we figured out that he's washed 2.5 million panes of glass over the course of his career, which explained his shoulder and knee problems and back problems and heart problems as well. And yeah, the heart problems caught up to him eventually. So 2012, he was diagnosed with heart disease. The doctor told him he could no longer work physically. He couldn't go up and down ladders. He couldn't carry things over, 30 pounds. And he had to stress less. And even though he was the owner operator and had between 0 and 1 employees for 33 years, he still found a way to, stress himself out a tremendous amount. So it was very interesting. I had like that firsthand experience watching my dad go through the journey, work alongside him. I homeschooled through high school, worked with him full time, like from age 13. So had an opportunity to just kind of see how an owner operator business was ran. And then subsequently, like the day I turned 18, I followed in his footsteps, got my own business license, and did the exact same thing: owner operator, window cleaner, then construction, then other stuff, and lots of highs and lows, and kind of a varied career from there until I felt like I finally started putting on my big boy pants and scaling up a business the way I was supposed to, which didn't happen until many years later after that.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. And you kind of look back now, really, how long that first one takes. And then when you're done with that
Yeah,
first one, you're like, man, I wish I would have known everything I know now, because I could do it so much quicker. And
so
now that's
true.
what you're doing. So if you guys haven't seen Wise Codings, Brandon documented this entire thing on YouTube, which is probably one of the most favorite things I've watched on YouTube. Is he started this business from zero, had nothing, had a couple, like, intentionally started with, I don't remember what the exact dollar amount was, but went out, bought a
15K,
van. How much was it?
15K.
15K. So he took $15,000, which is probably what a lot of people start their business with, and scaled this business to whatever it is now, say $1 million a month. But now he's franchising it, which is phenomenal. So if you guys have time, go to YouTube, look up Brandon Vaughn, look up Wise Codings. It's an awesome, just really good insights into what systems are we putting in place, what processes are we putting in place, and taking all those years of experience and accelerating it so much quicker. So now that's running, that's doing its thing, less than 10 hours a week of your time, probably now less than that. But now really your expertise is HireBus. Tell everybody what HireBus is.
Well, it's so funny. So as Conquer, we've helped over now 20,000 home service business owners through our different programs and events and courses. And the number one problem, or I say probably the top 2 or 3 problems, usually always within the top 3, is I can't find good help. If I could just find good help, I could double my business. We hear that so often. And the big shift that we would teach our conquerors is that it's a marketing problem to solve. What's a tougher sell? Going out and convincing another human being to buy your services, change out your panel, do a repipe, wash your windows, or convince another human being to work 40 hours a week for you in your business, spend more time with you than they even spend at home with their families. Like what's a tougher sell? And we spend so much time focusing on how to get new customers. We don't spend nearly enough time focusing on how to predictably get fantastic employees. And so when we kind of coach this to our pros, our conquerors are coming through our program, we'd set up a framework for them. And that framework was identify your hooks, identify your messaging for your target customers, those customers being your employees, because they're internal customers. So you have external customers, you have internal customers. And so the more that we kind of cycled on that, we actually started solving the problem for a lot of pros. And the one component of it that was kind of missing was a way to screen candidates or pre-qualify them or prioritize them before you even interview them. There's lots of assessments like DISC and Colby, that cost, anywhere from $6 to $50 to have these people take it. You can't give it to every single applicant that comes through your door. So we wanted to create a system where we could actually give every person, every candidate, an applicant, basically a test that they could take to find out on a scale of 1 to 10 how good of a fit they would be for an electrical, apprentice or a journeyman or an office person or a salesperson. And so that's what we did with HireBus. So we kind of took all the best parts, and now like what HireBus does is we write all of your job ads, we post all of them for you, we optimize them with AI, we constantly improve them, we deliver all the applicants into your funnel, we prioritize on a scale of 1 to 10 who are the best people that you should be talking to, and then we auto schedule them on your calendar. And then we provide a bunch of coaching tools after you hire people to help them figure out, how can they be a more successful production manager employee. So I've never launched a software company before. It's really freaking intimidating and scary and terrifying and expensive, but it's been an amazing journey. I'm having an absolute blast doing it. And we're just, changing people's lives, which is really cool.
Awesome. That is phenomenal. I mean, so many things Brandon said there, y'all. Like, one of the biggest problems I've seen in my time in 13, 14 years of business ownership is so many business owners, they go from application to interview and they're like, this person doesn't show up, or this person was a terrible interview. And it's just like, you guys have built all of these things to weed out those people. So that way, when the owner or hiring manager or service manager or office manager, whoever it is sitting down with the candidate, not only is that candidate going to show up, but it's probably going to be a really good fit because you've taken the time to weed them out through a process. No, like Brandon said, no different than looking for customers. We weed out customers all the time, whether it's through messaging, through branding, through pricing, through location, how we market. Are we only marketing to certain neighborhoods? We got to do the same thing when we're looking for employees. And to Brandon's point, like, you got to do a lot of work to get someone to commit 40 hours plus, probably 50 by the time you consider drive time and working overtime, 50 hours of all the time that they're awake every week to spend with you to build a career. So on that note, you mentioned something that I think is huge. I want you to dive into a little bit of, you've got to write compelling copy. You've got to have some key hooks to get people's attention to come work for you. What does that mean? And what have you found that works really well, to get people's attention of like, oh, I might want to go work for Wise Coatings?
Yeah, for us, it's really been not sounding like everybody else. So, everyone out there puts out their job post and is like, you must be able to lift 50 pounds. You must be able to do this, must have a clean driving record. You must be, have a photo ID and, blah, blah, blah. And it's all about what the company needs. And it never focuses enough on what's in it for the employee. So the way that we write our job ads, first of all, we play around with different hooks. So instead of just putting, garage flooring technician, we'll play around with, garage artists or, wanted, hunters wanted, or, we come up with different hooks that really kind of capture people's attention and develop some intrigue. because that's kind of one of the most important parts. So like, for instance, even for window cleaners, we'll say, gas powered squirt gun operators wanted. And then people are like, wait, what is this? And they click on it. And then we write the ads to be a little bit funny, a little bit humorous, a little more lighthearted, talk about what's in it for them. And so for our job ads we write for Wise Coatings, we have 4 core values: Buffalo, Ascend, Serve, and Efficiency. And so we'll talk about, who you are. You're someone that wants to be able to be recognized for the work that they put into there. You love to level up. You love to, increase, something. We'll like refer to some of our core values when we're describing kind of our ideal person. And then we talk about what's in it for them first. And then we talk about who we are. Where have you been looking for? We were awarded Entrepreneur's fastest growing franchises in the United States, top 100. And we like go through and, and talk about why they want to capture. So now like they're hooked. Then they read themselves, they see themselves in the first part of your ad, and then they are sold on who you are. And then they want to reach out. And then we want to fill in the top of the funnel with as many humans as possible, and then allow our work through automations, text messages, emails, ringless voicemails, to then have them take the application step, and then take the, and have disqualifying questions there, and then to have them take the HireBus right seat assessment. And then, like everything's automated. So the whole process just allows you to just kind of turn it on and then just watch people kind of come in. But it all starts with that top of funnel, getting as many people as possible, to apply for your ads. You don't want to filter them out too much until you've, sold them on why they want to apply. And you do that through copywriting.
Yeah. And I think that last thing you said is so important, because I know a lot of times business owners are like, they have to have this much experience. They have to have this. So they have to be able to do this. So they put that up front. And to your point, you've probably eliminated a lot of people. Maybe they haven't even clicked on it because it was just the standard, like service technician name or, apprentice. Those things get lost in the feed when you're scrolling. But when you see, gas powered squirt gun operator or garage floor artist or something like that, you're automatically going to get somebody's attention. And the cool thing about, and we're going to get to it next, is building a team that runs without you, is if you have systems and processes in place to teach these humans how to do the job, how to be a gas powered squirt gun operator guy or a garage floor artist, then you can start hiring for the best personality, the people that believe in your values, the people that want all the things you're offering, and they're not just looking for another job. They actually want to be a part of something bigger. So obviously a big thing that you've been on since your first business endeavor is building a team that runs without you, seeing what happened to your dad and never wanting that happen to you or anybody in your circle. So what are some of the main things, whether HireBus related or after we've hired them, you guys do some coaching, what are some ways to at least get that process started of, hey, let's build a business that doesn't need, Brandon every single day?
The biggest thing is brain dumping everything that's in Brandon's brain that requires him every day. And same thing for, those of you who are listening to this, what are the things that people always come to you and ask you for? What are the things that you have to do? Where are you the bottleneck in your business? And documenting those things, and start putting together your stop doing list. It's really easy to come up with to-do lists. Let's make a stop doing list. And that stop doing list is going to have all the things that we can delegate to someone else for less than, $1,000 an hour. And the reason why I use that $1,000 an hour number is because when we're focused on the right areas in our business, we deliver at least that much value to our company. For instance, if we went out there and just started recording, sales videos, and we actually saw this with some of our clients, they would spend 6 hours recording sales videos that they would deliver to every single customer who got a quote from us or, got a quote from them. And the video would just say, hey, here's who we are. Here's what our company is. And then that video would get sent to every single customer who got a quote, and they saw a 7% increase in closing ratio, which then when you expand that out over the course of the year, it equaled $160,000 worth of extra income just because more customers started choosing it. So that 6 hours worth of work can start delivering, tens of thousands of dollars to value. The more that you just stop doing all these dumb little day-to-day, tasks and putting out fires, the more you can start working on the strategy part that really moves the needle heavy in your business. So, one of the big lowest hanging fruit ones is training employees, training new employees. When you have a technician that comes out with you that you're now training up, give them your phone, have them hit record on their phone and just record you while you train them. So now you have a video that exists. You could start building a library of videos over here. So then future employees that you onboard, rather than you being the person that goes out and tells them and shows them how to do all this stuff, they can watch these videos and they can see all of your basic stuff. So, there's so many things that you can do that just require you to stop doing all of these low-level tasks that can be easily delegated.
Yeah, and that stop doing list is huge. And what I found works for me, and I kind of worked off the similar thing, is we used in all of our companies, we've always used Slack, because I would just Slack myself, and something came up, whether I'm on the computer, I just Slack it to myself, and that was my running list of these are the things I need to stop doing. Because I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'm out in the field, or I didn't think about it, or I didn't do that.
Right.
I would say after 3 or 4 days of you proactively thinking that, then it's just second nature of like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I shouldn't do this anymore. And you just start documenting it. And I know the other hang up a lot of people get, and I'm sure you've seen it too, Brandon, is, well, that video is not going to be perfect. It's not going to be, professionally produced. What I found is the ones off the iPhone, especially if you have the technician record it, because now they're going to be paying attention. They're going to learn it better. But then what I found is every time people are watching an iPhone video, it almost sticks with them more, because it's like, this thing isn't perfect, so I'm going to focus on it more. Or it's a lot more relatable because it isn't perfect, versus us going to some studio and recording some video. It's like, hey, no, that was Mrs. Jones's garage, or that was, Mrs. Smith's basement, and we were in there and we're doing it. And now it sticks a lot more. So y'all, those are some really easy, actionable things that you can start doing today to start building a team that runs without you. They don't need you. You've got the systems, you got the processes, you got the training videos. It doesn't have to be fancy. It's just got to be functional. So taking that to kind of the last step, you're big on like the employee flywheel and really getting things ramped up so we can get to where we want to go. So now people aren't saying, Brandon, I can't grow because I can get as many people as I want. HireBus is rocking and rolling, but now I'm a little bit stuck. What is the employee flywheel all about?
Employee flywheel comes off of the flywheel business model concept that Jeff Bezos invented. He actually wrote it on the back of a napkin in a restaurant, which is like the most cliche thing ever that they talk about that entrepreneurs do. But he wrote this model of Amazon's model of, hey, if we focus on, increasing the volume of our traffic that we have, inevitably that's going to mean that we're going to get more sellers on our platform. If we have more sellers, inevitably that's going to lead to more SKUs on our platform. If we have more SKUs, that means that we're going to have a better customer experience. If we have a better customer experience, inevitably that's going to lead to more traffic coming to our site because of referrals. And so he kind of identified these 4 areas that were more than just levers. They were things that created momentum, which inevitably ended up driving, strength and growth in the other areas. And then in the center of like this flywheel, there was, growth. And as you start growing more, you get lower cost structures, which means to lower prices, which means to increase customer satisfaction. And it like creates this thing that goes. And the reason why the flywheel is kind of an apt term for this is it's a mechanical device that is a very, very heavy wheel that takes quite a bit of, strength and effort to kind of get it going. But once it goes, it generates so much power, it almost becomes unstoppable. I remember I saw a video on Mythbusters where they released this like 1-ton flywheel, and it like blew a hole through their warehouse. It just, took off, and it's kind of like why trains develop so much momentum. So the way that you apply this on the employee side of things is not only just focusing on getting new customers coming in, internal customers, employees, but also focusing on their actual experience. What is it like when they come in and work for you inside of your company? One of my favorite books is called The Dream Manager by Matthew Kelly. And it chronicles this company that had a 400% turnover rate inside of their company. They turned every single employee position over 4 times a year inside of their company. And they implemented this strategy and this program where they just started asking their employees, hey, what are your dreams? What are your dreams in life? What are you looking to accomplish? And they started coming up with these things of, I want to buy a house. I want to buy a new truck. I want to have a great Christmas for my family. I want to travel to this place. And then they strategically just focused on tying business goals to where the company could then help them fulfill those dreams. And the culture inside of their company literally did a complete 180, where now people realized that they were cared for by their employers even more so than what the business initiatives were, because, you know, they were solving this thing that dreams feel impossible sometimes. And if a business is able to help their employees achieve the impossible, like the goodwill that creates, the culture that creates is just so powerful. So that culture side of it, when you focus on, you know, that strong culture, you get more referrals, you get employees that tell their friends, their family members what a great company, they post on social media. And then that leads to more applicants that come in, you know, and stronger talent. And it just kind of creates that flywheel momentum inside of your business. Because you should always be hiring. You should never turn your hiring funnels off. You should always be bringing people into your company, and you should always be focusing on, you know, creating that strong company culture that keeps your teams engaged.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the thing that I take away most of that is when they stay longer. I remember I'm recording this in summer of 2024, but I saw someone post online during tax time, and they said, you know, look at the amount of W-2s you're sending out compared to the number of employees you actually have on your team. And depending on that ratio, you might have a retention problem. So in the trades, it's notorious for that. You might have 10 employees and you send out 40 W-2s at the end of the year, meaning 30 people didn't make it. So why didn't they make it? It could have been a hiring problem. You didn't have something like HireBus, or you didn't have that employee flywheel. If you didn't care about your employees, there's such this stigma in the blue collar world and the home service, the trades, of like, oh, just suck it up and keep going. Your job's to make money and work hourly and do all these things. But when you literally take, you know, a minimum amount of time to start caring for employees, find out what's important to them, learn their kids' names, figure out what their goals are. When they realize you're all in on their goals, they're going to be all in on your goals, and they're going to be so much more productive. They're going to last a lot longer. You don't have to hire as many people, and they're going to do a lot of it for you to that point. Because if they've been in the industry, they know other people in the industry, and they may be like, dude, you got to come work over here. It's awesome. They do all these things. They care about you. We got a dream manager program, all those things. So super, super valuable information. Now, one last question for you on the hiring. Everybody, not everybody, a lot of people I talk to, they think they've got the latest and greatest and they want to franchise their business. They say, this is it. I'm going to franchise. All the things we talked about, in my opinion, and you can tell me your opinion, have to be done before you even think about franchise. It's got to be able to run without you. You've got to have the employee flywheel. You've got to have a hiring process in place, and you got to have all these systems and processes in place in order to go to somebody else and say, look what we've figured out, instead of, oh, here's a power washing company. I think you should buy my franchise because we did a couple $100,000 last year, and the business is me operating the gas powered squirt gun. So what do you tell anybody? You've done it. You started it from scratch. You franchised your business. What do you tell anybody that says, I want to go franchise my business?
Is your business training program solid enough to where you can train an average person with average intelligence to be a successful business owner? And for me, franchising is way less about, do you have a model? Have you done it well? And it's more about, franchisee shows up on day one. What do you teach them? What do you teach them on day two? What do you teach them on day three? What do you teach them on day four? You know, all the way to day 120. What are they going through? Because it's very easy to just sell someone, hey, we did really well in our area. But then you go to the Pacific Northwest or down to Florida, and the market's different. Marketing messages are hit differently, even in blue states versus red states. Like it's been unbelievably eye-opening, even for me, to franchise my company and realize, oh my gosh, we're really lacking. And we had a really solid, tight model that ran without me. But going and getting an average person and bringing them in who's never been an entrepreneur, who's never been successful, who hasn't ran their own business for years, and coming in from day one, quitting a job, needing to make this work, investing probably their life savings into your system, it just brings it's a whole different type of perspective shift. So I've talked to a lot of people who think they're ready to franchise because they got a good logo, they did well in their company, But they built it by them personally knocking on doors, 60 hours a week. And it's like, that's not a franchisable business. You're not going to be able to convince an average person to go out and knock on doors 60 hours a week to go do that. So it's just, when you take you out of the equation, can it still be successful? And, over the last 3 years since we franchised it, we've learned a ton. We've made dumb mistakes. We've made smart decisions, and there's been a lot of constant feedback. And even now today, I still feel like our system lacks a lot of stuff that we're continually optimizing and improving. So the other thing that I'll add to it is, what makes you different? Whenever we talk to other people, like, a franchise business can't just be, it's a successful one location. It has to have really true competitive differentiators that set it apart from anyone else on the market. And it's really hard to make sure that a business has that. What's going to prevent them from just going and, getting their own logo and starting up their own business? Like, what really is different about your franchise that makes it attractive enough to where they'll give you, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to start your business? And then lastly, the thing that I'll say that's a big shocker when you franchise is, if you don't have another location up and ran, you haven't ran a proof of concept of, hey, it works great in my market, let me go start it on my own in another market, it's probably too early to franchise. Because, you'll learn so much just by going and opening up a second location that will poke all kinds of holes inside of your ideas. It's a lot to learn. It's a lot to go through. We've had lots of good coaches that have kind of helped us through all that stuff.
Love it. Patience, y'all. Take your time and have the patience. The more time you take, the more successful you will be. Brandon, you already mentioned one book, The Dream Manager. If you guys haven't read it, recommend go reading it. I recommend everybody implementing a dream coach, dream manager program in your organization. It'll do wonders for you, especially in the trades. Because when you roll it out, we rolled it out in my last company. When you roll it out, they're gonna be like, at first I'm like, this is weird. I've never worked at another trade company, and they actually care about us this much. I'm just used to going out in a truck, working 60 hours a week during busy season, getting my check, and maybe, donuts once every other week. So we already got a book out of the way. What we want to dive into now is immediate action. Whenever somebody reads a book, you got to take action. On this show, we want you to give our listeners one thing they can do within the next 24 hours to move their business forward so they can get one step closer to getting where they want to go.
The one thing that I'd have them do is go download Loom, or go take out your phone and just start recording the things that you do on a day-to-day basis. So if let's say you're listening to a podcast right now and today you're answering phones, hit Loom, hit record, start recording your phone conversations, start recording how you talk to customers, how you engage with customers, record how you go and create a new estimate, create a new job, record how you go out and sell a job, put voice recorder in your pocket and go put it in your pocket and start working on documenting things. The more that you just document how you do it in your business, the easier it is to train and have other people reference a little library of videos, documents, systems, tools. We hear all the time about, you got to systemize your business. To me, the definition of systems is a documented process on how to do something important in your business. But that key word is documented, and you can document it with audio, with video, with images, with pictures, with, text. You just have to start. And if you just start and have it be rough and ugly and go throw it in a folder, you'll deal with it later. That's even a start. And then you can go and refine it over time and continually improve it. But just start it today. Start it today. Challenge yourself. Make one training video, just one.
There you go, guys. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. I had that above my desk in my last company. And it is so true. Just get started. Done is better than perfect. And then when you do hire those people through HireBus, they're going to be set up for success because they'll actually have training set up for them. Because I know a lot of times, and Brandon has seen it as well, a lot of times we hire somebody with no training and then we blame them of like, oh, they just sucked. Right. Well, they weren't set up for success because they didn't know exactly what you wanted because you never documented it. So Brandon Vaughn, thanks again for coming on the show today, sharing your journey and providing a ton of actionable advice for all the blue collar business owners out there as we continue our journey to prosperity, which is only possible with consistent positive cash flow. I am confident that this will help everyone out there get one step closer to achieving those personal and professional goals. But Brandon, before we sign off, what is the best place you can send our listeners to keep in touch with you, learn more about HireBus and what you got going on?
Yeah, go check out hirebus.com/free. If you want to see what our HireBus assessment looks like, I'll give you a teaser. It's one single question that we ask an applicant, and we'll be able to determine on a scale of 1 to 10 how good of a fit they'll be. It's a really fascinating question. So if you want to check it out, go to hirebus.com/free. You can take the test assessment for yourself. You'll get a little coaching report. You'll get what's called a behavioral blueprint that shows 21 different behavioral scales. It's really fascinating. And when you see what it does on the backside of your business for the employees that you look to hire, your mind will be blown. So definitely go hit us up over there and learn a little bit more. And if you want to email me, you can email hello@hirebus.com and just send a message to me. Those always get to me.
Awesome. Hirebus.com/free, guys. Go there, figure out what that one question is. So that way you no longer have to complain that the only thing getting in the way of your growth and prosperity is finding good help. Brandon, thanks so much again for your time today. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Paul. Take care, guys.